We are now joined by Stuart Dinsey, the Executive Chairman of Curve Games. Stuart, how are you doing today?
I'm very good, James. Very good indeed.
Great to join you here. Not quite as intimate as we were looking for, but we will push on nonetheless. Now, can I get you to just introduce yourself and your role at Curve Games and how you work with Xsolla?
Yeah, I'm the executive chairman of Curve, so I'm kind of in charge, I guess. Help make sure that we do things right. Curve is an indie games publisher. We've been around about 12 years. We've had hits like Human Fall Flat, For the King series, Bomber Crew, The Ascent. So we're one of the small to middle-sized British games publishers.
Gotcha. And you've partnered up with Xsolla. Is this a worldwide thing, or is this in specific regions?
No, over the past 12 months, we have started rolling out Xsolla web stores for some of our top games. So I think we're on our way to having 10 games with their own Xsolla microsites. We like the idea of being able to take payments in different countries that maybe it's more difficult to use a credit card on the more established platforms. And we like the idea of being able to if we can, in addition to our traditional games platforms, being able to go direct to consumer, learn a little bit about our audience.
Well, that's interesting. I talked to Xsolla, I think, last year about that, and also in London, the idea that they're looking towards these web stores, these direct-to-consumer pathways, which previously you've either had to use one of the large app stores, and those were your only options, unless you were a Fortnite or something, which throws up its own thing. But this is starting to appear more and more and more for individual games. How important is that direct-to-consumer pathway for you?
I think for us, it's a long-term issue for us. So I believe in distribution. So I want to make sure that we're reaching as many different corners of the world, different types of consumer as possible. We've got lots of fantastic partners. This is something where we're going to learn as we go along. We've never done it before. We know that over time it could become more important. They're very easy to work with, but we see it as a long-term play.
Okay. And the MENA region itself, which is where we were just a week or so ago, why is that region proving attractive to folks like yourselves, indie developers, as well as the big kind of publishers and devs?
I think it's a similar thing. We're all looking for new opportunities. So the market has been become more difficult for most of us over the past 2 or 3 years. So anywhere that we think well, there's stuff going on over there and I'm not in it, I'm going to want us to explore. So that can be in terms of distribution, but that can also be in terms of presence in a region. And there is a desire in the region to raise their profile. That's why you're seeing more games events there. There's a growth in the number of indie developers. And so we want to get to know the market, get to know those companies and see if there's that maybe the next Human Fall Flat will come out of that region. We don't know. At the moment, that region is only about 1.5% of our business. If we understand what that market wants, we might be able to increase that. We've just been acquired by an Indian games company called Nazara, and there is an absolute boom in game development in India, and this isn't game development as work for hire. This is game developers creating IP. We're incredibly excited about that, but we're also excited about some of the developers that we've met who are from places like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, because we never know what the consumer is going to get excited by. So we have to be talking to everyone.
Well, that brings us on to if you're an indie developer or a developer who's used to working, for example, in the West or maybe in the East or in China, and you're looking into the MENA region, do different rules apply? Are there specific trends or player behaviors that exist in that region that need to be catered to?
I think that's the challenge, really, is to figure out what the consumer preferences might be, or even how to tap into cultural differences with types of games that would mean that would be attractive to the people that live there. Because really, what we've been doing, if you think about it, is we've been taking Western games into a completely different corner of the world and expecting them to understand those Western values and those Western game experiences. And it may well be that the next big success in the region will be from a game that understands the region. And there's no reason why we shouldn't, as a global publisher, be looking at how we could still do that, because in the age of digital, we don't have to worry about stock and distribution and shops. We can get there directly with the digital options that are in front of us. I think it's also worth saying that it's a much bigger mobile orientated region. We've just been bought by Nazara, and Nazara are largely a mobile games company. So there's reasons why Curve were having a look around certain places in recent months.
That makes sense. And presumably the monetization factors into that change of tactic as well, because we've talked to lots of people in the region, and even simple things like not everybody has a credit card, for example. The payment methods are different over there. Do you have to factor that in as well?
Absolutely, and that is one of the things that I'm not technical, but what I do know is Xsolla have built their business out of payment systems and offering consumers lots of different ways to pay through different credit cards, whereas on some platforms there might be like half a dozen preferred credit cards. So again, that is something that if that helps you reach new players, you have to investigate. It doesn't mean it's any criticism of how we currently do things with others. We're very happy with everybody we do business with, but we really like new business.
And presumably that means making partnerships. So when you've, paired up with Xsolla, which is obviously a large sort of global company, do they help you make inroads in the region? So they already have connections that are there, or is it a case of you building and then just working with them?
I think they've got an impressively global perspective. There are companies that are very keen to have a presence and raise their profile in certain territories like Dubai, and to see what there is there. We were attracted by working with Xsolla on a trip there, but also by the Dubai Expo Summit. So if everybody goes there at the same time, it makes the economies of scale are there for you, because you're gonna meet lots of people. If there's a gathering, we want to be in that gathering, and if there's a movement, which there might well be in the development scene or cultural games, perhaps, we want to be aware of what's happening.
Well, you mentioned the Dungeons of Hinterberg when you were talking about the games that you developed, and you collaborated with Xsolla for the launch, and that one has a web shop incorporated as well, if I'm right in saying.
Yeah, it's the first time we've done it. It was
Okay.
it's a test. Dungeons of Hinterberg has been a fantastic success for us on Steam and on Xbox. It was a new title for us, and we felt again it's that point of extending distribution, seeing what it's like to work with Xsolla. They said they would build the site, and that was the beginning of the relationship, really.
And am I right in thinking that you're a director at the Stevenage FC club, right? The football club.
I am the Stevenage FC, the mighty Stevenage FC.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
now, how long have you been a director for? Is that like an ongoing passion project, or is it recent?
I've been a director for about 12 years.
Oh, okay, so ongoing.
I'm originally a Stevenage boy, and like Lewis Hamilton, and unlike Lewis Hamilton, I'm proud of where I'm from.
Yeah. Oh, shade.
So I decided to see if I could do anything to support what is a fantastic club. They support community, as all football clubs and sports clubs do around the country. Yes, it's a really fun. Some people play golf, some people buy a boat. Football club is my thing.
Nice. And you were able to bring Xsolla into that as well. So are they supporting or sponsoring the club? Is that the idea?
Well, yeah, they were really excited by what happened last summer. We're League One, which is like the division below Championship, and then you've got the league. And there was a fantastic new deal with Sky last summer, where Sky increased the amount of TV for lower league games. As a football club, if you can demonstrate that your reach is growing through all the different types of channels, not just TV, but obviously YouTube and social media, because we knew each other, they saw an opportunity to work with a football club, and they've had lots of phone calls from other football clubs since.
Finally, what regions do you see as the kind of big opportunities for indie game publishing?
We've already seen a significant evolution in terms of the Chinese games market, and how not so long ago the West companies were fixated on, how do I sell my games in China? How do I do that? And do I do that with an ISBN or with not? Sometimes China would give you licenses, sometimes they wouldn't. But actually, there's been a growth of independent game developers in China and publishers in China, and we're seeing a lot of Chinese games now being very successful in the Western market. So we're already seeing that, not just sort of acquiring Western businesses, but actually bringing their games. And I think with that sort of mix of games for everyone, wherever they're made, is a really important point. And that's what MENA wants to happen. Any region that has been traditionally an emerging territory at some point would like to spurt out global successes, whether that be a company or an IP. With digital, that's going to happen. It just will happen.
Well, we look forward to seeing what Curve is working on in the future, and I hope Stevenage has a good season.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, wow.
Good to talk to you, Stuart.
Excellent. Cheers, James.